Okay, well, it's 9 o'clock sharp. Welcome to today's webinar. The webinar is being recorded and it will be available at the end of the day today in the DeltaNet under the Wagner Cloud tile. So if you just go there and click on the training folder, there'll be an all class material folder, and that's where this webinar and the PowerPoint recording, the PowerPoint and the webinar recording will be. It should only take about 30 minutes this morning, maybe a little less. So to be sure that we're covering everything and staying on track, I'm not going to be answering any questions during the webinar. But if you do have questions, I encourage you to go ahead and put them in the little chat down below, and then I'll do my best to answer them, and I'll send out a Q&A sheet and put it in Delta as well. Also, throughout the webinar, I'm going to be highlighting the classes that apply to what we're learning and what we're sharing, the Wagner EDU classes, so that if you want to dig a little deeper or learn a little more, you can go to the DeltaNet and register for those classes just by clicking on the Wagner EDU tile, and then there's the little calendar icon at the top. Also, remember when you register, you have to click register twice, once, and then a little dialog box pops up, and then you have to click register a second time. Okay, so let's get started. As you know, the topic of today is how to get your listing seen and sold. And so we're going to, even the best agents at some point are going to have a property that just it won't sell. And it may be due to the look or the layout or overpriced or a bad location. Or maybe it's just a tough market like we have now. But every agent has had or will eventually have stubborn listings. So we're going to talk about some ways to get some new life into your listing and finally get it off the market. I'll be sharing about the basics. We'll start there, and then we'll talk about your listing's digital footprint, and then we'll finish up with some important seller communication tools and tips. So the basics. The number one reason homes don't sell has almost always been price. But before you rush to do a price improvement, I recommend that you reach out to the folks at CMG to learn about their buy down programs and products. They have a 2-1 temporary buy down where the financing reduces monthly payments for 2 years, and the seller prepays the interest for the buyer at closing, and then the unused portion is applied to the principal when the loan is refinanced. And then there's the mortgage rate buy down, and that uses upfront fees to lower the interest rate for a set period of time. And it makes homeownership more affordable in the short term by lowering the payments in the early years. So I've included Pete, Kyle, and Nick's information in this PowerPoint. And like I said, you don't have to take any notes because this will all be available in the DeltaNet. Also, regarding price, if you obviously you did your homework when you did the CMA, but if it hasn't sold and it's been a while, there may be some additional comps that you could do a fresh CMA, for a price improvement. So what I've listed here are some CMA resources. And as you all know, Stellar, a lot of you use the Stellar CMA tool, which is free to you as a part of your membership with Stellar, and it is the live market data, so it's definitely the best data and accurate. And of course, you all know Delta Pitch. We had some glitches in the beginning, but we've come a real long way with it, and I'd encourage you to take another look. That David pays for that for you, and it is one-stop shop. It ties your CMA to your customer with everything included, encompassed in DeltaNet. Then RPR is another great product to do CMAs, and that's free with your NAR membership, and it does some really deep data dive in there. So that's a good tool as well. Cloud CMA is $49 a month. At least that was the lowest price I found it. I found other places it was more, depending on how you pay for it. But it does have easy reports and net sheets. And then there's Toolkit CMA for $69 a month and Dash CMA. So there's a lot of products out there that you can use. And I know some of you use several of them, and other resources, tax rolls, property appraiser, that information. One tip is to always use at least 3 to 6 months, show the price per square foot, the flood zones, the HOA fees, and the insurance information. So most of that you all know, but I thought I would share the resources with you. Another thing to consider in the basics is your description in MLS. Sometimes it just helps to revise the description, and many of you are really good at the storytelling where you actually highlight amenities, include things like the seasons, and help them want to really visualize. Being able to visualize is very important. So here are a couple little examples that I put together real quick. You could say this is a 3-bed, 2-bath home in Bradenton with a big backyard and great landscaping. Or the storytelling version would be more of enjoy your morning coffee overlooking the spacious private backyard of this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom Bradenton home where jasmine fills the air and time seems to slow down. Now, yes, that's a little over the top, but and it does sound a little ChatGPT-ish, but I wanted to make a point of the difference between the boring and the enticing. Another example is the kitchen has granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. Or you could say, gather around the oversized granite island in a kitchen designed for connections where every meal feels like a special occasion. Again, a little over the top, but you get the point. And you can see it in your mind. And that's what makes the difference when you're working and making your description using storytelling. And I do encourage you, if you haven't tried ChatGPT, it's a great tool. You can see we have a class, as I mentioned. I'm going to be highlighting the classes on each slide that pertain to whatever it is we're sharing. And so AI for Agents is Thursday, June 26th from 9 to 11 over at Alcon Training. And I would also encourage you, when you're writing these descriptions, something you may or may not have considered is to optimize it for search engine ranking keywords. So if it's in Bradenton, make sure you use the words Bradenton. And I know you have to be very, very careful about the fair housing wording that you use. But if you run it through ChatGPT or one of your other AI products, Gemini or some of the other ones, if you just say optimize for keywords, it'll add them in there and highlight them so that when you share it, it gets found a lot more in your search engines. The most important thing you want to remember if you do use any of the AI products is accuracy. Review anything and everything that you run through there to make certain that it's 100% accurate, that nothing got changed. You do want to have your keywords, but the bottom line is the facts and readability. Does it read nice and not sound too AI-ish, if that makes sense? So again, the class for that is coming up Thursday, June 26th from 9 to 11. The next thing I want to touch on with the basics is your photography. Now, back when things were flying off the shelf and there were multiple offers, I know some agents, not you, of course, but some agents stopped using professional photographers. And I think, it's time, especially if your listings aren't moving, to revisit working with a professional, because the lighting, the twilight shots, the drone footage, the walkthrough videos, they all make a huge difference. And consider using Canva. Here again, here's a class, Creative with Canva, on Monday, June 23rd from 1 to 3. You also have the single property websites that are branded, and they have a video on them that use your photography. So, I just want to encourage you that the visuals really matter. You can see how much of a difference they make. This image, the sky in Canva, one click can replace a drab, dreary gray sky, and and put in a twilight sky like you see here. Just a couple clicks can turn the lights on in an otherwise darkened home, make the sky pop a little bluer and everything be a little more enhanced. So you want to be careful to, maintain the real product, but there are some tweaks and things you can do in Canva quickly and easily to make your photos pop a little more. And as I mentioned, drone footage, there's an example here of a nice aerial view that includes the playground and the water and the amenities. So if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, take the class, the Canva class. The basics for videography resources, I said I would be including some resources. So in no particular order, here are a dozen or so photographers and videographers in the area, and their prices range from little to extremely high. So I'll leave all that to you. I just wanted to make sure and include this, especially for newer agents who may need to find a good photographer. Another thing that matters that's in the basics realm is staging. We have some agents here in this company that do amazing jobs at staging their listings for sale, and they can take something that is just a basic, simple, drab kind of a home and turn it into a showcase just by going in and minimizing the personal items, adding some accents. And if staging isn't really an option for you, maybe consider virtual staging. I've included some resources here of some virtual staging companies. And you can see there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way. And if they're not using the modern tools and tech to do it well, really look at what they present, look at their examples, because you don't want to end up with something that looks like the bottom images. That's old school staging, virtual staging, and it's not good. So again, we do have some experts in the company. So if you would like some help learning how to stage and how to do it quickly and easily, we have some folks here that will help you with that. The next thing I want to get into for the basics is your open house. And anyone who knows me has probably already heard me say, are you sitting your open house? Or are you celebrating? It's so good. It makes a difference to create a celebration theme like a wine and cheese night or maybe an afternoon garden party. It makes it more memorable and lets the buyers have a reason to linger longer and just think about what it would be like to live there in that home. So I've shared some examples here of course, Rennie, who's one of the absolute best at staging and open houses, and uses flags and signage and food enticements. And she does it on a really good budget. So the other one that I wanted to share is, of course, Linda Melnick. She goes all out, and sometimes she'll tie her open houses together and bring in the Wandering Whale and have some mimosas. And you notice she even has her logo on her cookies. And I'm just, I'm so impressed. And I love how both of them really celebrate the open house. Another thing you want to remember is when you do have an open house, you can share it for free on Eventbrite. You can share it on Facebook events. You can create one for free and have people RSVP. And you can share your open houses on some of the groups for the area that you're holding it in. All you have to do is go up in the search box and look for the group that applies to the area you're holding your open house. So those are some good options to get a little more foot traffic in your open houses. Another thing for the open house is your preparation. The most important priority is that you make absolutely sure that your listing is in MLS, that your open house is listed in MLS. That gives the greatest syndication, bar none. And then you want to personally invite people, the buyers, agents in your area. You can use a video invitation. On the left below, you can see Rennie is actually talking from inside the home, inviting them in a video that she sends out to everyone in her database, everyone that'll listen by email. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But a video invitation is huge, and Canva has some great templates for you to use if you don't want to be in the video. There are some templates for open house invitations. Again, so that would be, in Canva. You can use the Open House Connector, which I've shared with all of you many times, and it's a no-touch QR code approach that asks the guests questions, and then the surveys are compiled so you can send a feedback report to the seller. It just makes you look so professional, and using cutting edge technology, it really sets you apart. I've had agents get listings in open houses because they used the tools and looked so great that the other sellers wanted to use them. So the last thing would be to make sure you send out an automated thank you e-card the next day to everyone who attends. So those are just some tips for a much more successful open house. And if you really want to take it to the next level and learn everything that you can possibly do, because open houses are so effective today, used more than they have been in a long time, we have a class, The Art of Successful Open House, Thursday, June 26th from 1 to 3, and that will be taught by our very own Rennie Evans and Rebecca Samler. So I would encourage anyone who, really wants to take those open houses to the next level to go in DeltaNet and register for that class. Okay, we move on from the basics. The next portion of this webinar is the listing digital footprint. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Google, 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 Google. That's where everybody goes to search to find things. I don't know if you are aware, you may know these stats, but 14 billion searches a day on Google, not million. There's 9 million every minute. So if you're not using the tools that we have, somebody needs to be muted. Not sure who that is. But we have, like I said, the tools that are available for Google are incredible. And most of you, if not every single one of you, have a Google business profile. If you don't, that's the place to start, because that Google business profile will allow you to post like you see here. And you can put keywords in the description that will be indexed by Google so your listings get found. It only makes sense. So there's also a link that you can link back to your single property website or your detail page, but it drives the traffic to your website where they have opportunities to engage and request a showing. There's just so much that you can do digitally to get your listings out there more. Your Facebook posts, you can, they're automated through Delta. When you put your listings in Stellar, they automatically share the new listing, the open houses, the price reductions, the just solds. They go out automatically if you have it set up to your Facebook, and you can share those with anyone. But in addition, if you want to do some paid advertising, it has to be the right target, the right time, and the right place. And I think that Facebook and Instagram and Google are the best options for you. Yes, if you're good at TikTok and Snapchat and, a lot of the other social media, great, use them. But right now, I would say Facebook and Instagram and Google are your best bet. In 2025, the most searched term on Google at all was YouTube, which is owned by Google, and Facebook. So people are there, and that's where they're going to find your listing. Okay. The Google Business class is Tuesday, June 24th from 1 to 3. Next is video. You can make the shift from just being a sale facilitator to a trusted expert and advisor by using video. And some of the educational videos are huge value, like, about flood insurance or homestead exemption or that type of thing. And some statistics that really shocked me: the performance of the listing, if you use video, they receive 403% more inquiries than listings without videos. And the homes with video tours sell up to 31% faster. And then the shares, social media video has over 1,000% more shares than images and text combined. So we have a value of video class on Monday the 30th from 1 to 3, if that's something you want to look more into. Email marketing is very important. You can target the other agents, the investors, the buyers who have had interest before. You can see on the right an example of an e-card. And you want your subject line to really pop. So the difference would be between 3-bed, 2-bath home for sale or waterfront paradise priced to sell this weekend. You want to include the call to action and then use the high impact visuals. And Delta has some great visuals, but you can use Canva and other tools as well. The last thing I want to mention on your digital footprint is verify your portals and make sure that your listing is seen. MLS, Homes.com, Realtor, Zillow, Craigslist, Oodle, Nextdoor. You really want to have your listing in all of those places. If you don't know how to do that, I'll be happy to help you. The last section of Get It Seen and Get It Sold is the consistent seller communication. I have found that even if the listing isn't selling, the number one most important thing you can do is stay in touch with the seller. Make sure that they know that you are on top of it and you're doing everything possible. You're using all the tools, you're using the portals, you're using online technology. You want to make sure you have them set up on a market watch. These are powerful, powerful. They're different than a safe search because it's actually a report with live links that goes out to them once a week, and it features your listings, and then it shows everything for sale, all the price reductions, and it's all in one report that hits their inbox. The value is huge. You also want to make sure they're set up on a seller's report. It shows them some of the traffic, and this doesn't even include all of the rest of the data that's in there. And you want to be able to understand how to explain this to your seller. So make sure you don't just set them up without knowing what all the charts and graphs mean. And then the single property website. These are so underused. You really need to send these to the seller the day you put that listing in Stellar. This is created for you as what part of the DeltaNet tools. And so it's impressive, and you really want to send it to your seller. If you will share all these things with them on a regular basis and stay in touch, they'll know how much you really care about getting their listing sold. Now, I've been waiting for this. We have a quarterly million-plus luxury listings ebook, and Jeannie has worked so hard on this. It's come together, just a thing of beauty, and I am so proud to be able to share it with you. So if you have a listing that's over $1 million, I'm hoping that you can see this, that everyone can see it, but it's a gorgeous cover. It's going to be sent to thousands upon thousands of realtors. It's also, I'll be sending this email to you with a link to this ebook. And of course, so if you have a listing in it, you're going to want to share it with your seller right away. They'll be very impressed. And like I said, I'll be sending it to thousands of agents. It'll be shared across a lot of social media channels. And we encourage you to please share this as well on all of your social media. I'm going to send you the link, so there's no reason why you wouldn't want to promote this and get a buyer for one of these listings. So this is what it looks like. As we all know, Jeannie's amazing and did a fabulous job on this. So here's our first listing, and you can see that what I was talking about with the visual images are incredible. And these have QR codes, Jeannie's included, that go right to the listing where they can schedule a showing, and there's all kinds of calls to action that they can choose. So this is the type of thing that really will impress anyone that's looking at it. And if you want to learn how to create one of these yourself, it's done in Canva, and it's done with a Hazing flipping book tool. And so if you'll sign up for our Canva class, we'll be happy to show you how to generate. You could do one of these flip books for just your one listing and send it out. So again, we appreciate all the work and the time and the effort that Jeannie put into this. It is absolutely beautiful. It gets the point across. It gets the listing seen. And there's no limit to what you can include. So that's the end of our flipping book. And that's the end of our webinar. I hope that you've picked up something that will help you to really get it seen and get it sold.